Good day, Warriors. This is Coach Peter. We're talking about GVT, German Volume Training here today. In case you never heard of it, in case you don't know what it is, it's not. It's a form of training that is designed for hypertrophy, designed for size and muscle definition. And we're going to talk about the pluses of it, the minuses of it, what it is. And whether you should do it or not. We're gonna take. I'm gonna show you my variation of it. It's called JVT, Jackman Volume Training. My take on it, and a couple of different redos, recalibrations, if you will, on it. So this is Coach Spiel here, WarriorResults.com. I help husbands lose weight, gain muscle, get abs, look good naked. I think that's kind of included, right? You can't really. Is it look good naked kind of include those other three things? But therefore, helping you live happily ever after. Using what levels up in your health, in your body, in your looks, in your physical attraction. Let that spill over into your marriage and level up your marriage, because that's what it is about for me. So, all right, German volume training. I first learned about this back in my personal training days. It was a magazine I think I came across, and I loved it. I did it at first. I loved it. It gets a lot of flack. They're like, well, that's way too much volume. That's way too much. And I totally get it. I totally understand. The gist of it is 10 sets of 10. 10 sets of 10. And I was reading a review. What was it? I think it was Mike Matthews' book, where a guy, there was a testimonial, and this guy was saying how he was overtraining. Like, he goes, I was doing 10 sets of 10 and not getting anywhere, and I picked up Mike Matthews' book, Bigger, Leaner, Stronger, and then they talked about all his numbers that went up. So I totally get it. So what you do, it's a nice little like 1 to 2 month little thing to mix in. It's also like doing it there. So the old school German volume training you grab a weight that's about your, they actually recommended, I think it was the very first time I did it. So I was kind of doing this back in personal training days. I saw a lot of results. I'm going to show you like how you actually see the growth with it. And then I started sharing it with my clients. They started seeing results. What it is it's like, it's got a lot of, what's the word? Case study stories behind it. Like, it hasn't been studied very much in research and medical fields and like professional science type stuff. But what you see is a lot of like stories of people using it and then like getting results. And so those stories have kind of like meandered their ways around. And that's what it is. What it is to be honest with you, is it's a change up. It's a curveball. It's your body's been used to one way. So let's say 3 sets of 10. So typical training, let's say chest day. Monday, chest day. If you want to do bench presses, if you want some room to do it, probably don't do it on Monday, chest day. So 3 sets. A typical, let's say bench press, incline dumbbell press. This is barbells. Let's say 3 sets of 10. Incline dumbbell press. 3 sets of, or let's say this is like 3 sets of 6. Somebody's like, oh, I gotta lift heavy. So they go 6 reps. And then they go 3 sets of 10 here. And then they finish off with like 3 sets of like 15 of cable crossovers. CCOs, if you will. And so you got, that's it. That's a pretty solid. What it means is a big mistake people make with, let's say, a day specific, they call it bro split, workout, is your body can only handle about 10 sets of working sets. So taken to failure or near failure, we call that the warrior zone, which is about 80% where you keep reps in the tank. So you got about 10 sets. You can go ahead and work more after that. It's like you can only so somebody gives today you have 24 hours in the day, right? You can only spend today's 24 hours. Okay, that's it. You can't like spend tomorrow's 24 today. All you got's today. So it's kind of like you can only stimulate so much muscle. I don't know if that's kind of a bad analogy, but I'll think of a better way to put that. You got about 10 sets in a day where your muscles are stimulated, where they're fired up, where they're stymied, and then after that you get diminished returns. Like it's basically like beating a dead horse at that point. All right, that was probably a better analogy, right? So you kind of German volley training. You do 10 sets of 10, but you just do those 10 sets in lieu of 3 different moves, 3 different rep ranges, 3 different exercises, blah 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 blah. You just X all that out, and you just go like bench presses, 10 sets of 10, and then at the end you do some like triceps or biceps, some maybe some flies if you want to finish it off, some isolation work at the end, some single joint moves, and then you call it a day. You're like, all right, that's good. So that's what it is. So what it is, it's a big change up. So if somebody's been doing that for like months, and it's very common if somebody's doing that for months because they get into a routine, they get into a rhythm, and they start doing that. Boom, 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 boom. And then the other thing that makes it work out so good is it forces you to track. It forces you to compile data. And I'll show you what that looks like here in a second. So that's usually what it works. So I just learned this, and I applied this right in the middle of my personal training days. And I did this in my workouts. I saw good results. And then I applied this to my clients' workouts, got results. I was at like a party. I forget, I think it was a New Year's Eve party. And a guy was there that's like a big lifter. But he's been doing like the same routine for like a year straight with this. And I was so I was at the party, and what do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, and then he asked me what I do. I'm a personal trainer. Oh, hey, can you help me? Can you give me some tips on blah, blah, blah? I think he says some tips on bench press. And German volume training was just in my mind that time. So I was like, have you tried German volume training? Have you heard about it? He's like, no, what's that? And I told him about it. He's like, oh, that sounds really cool. I think his name was Jason, if I'm correct. He's like, oh, that sounds really awesome. That sounds really cool. And so he went and did it, applied it. I think I ran into him a couple months later. And he's like, pulls me. He's like, dude, thank you so much for teaching me about the German volley training. I did it to my workouts, and I had the greatest soreness the next day. I saw my bench presses, I had like 50 pounds on my bench press in a month. I don't remember the numbers, but he was just like, that was so awesome. I love doing it. I'm like, all right, that's good. So what you do is you take a muscle exercise that stimulates the most muscles for that exercise, the most bang for your buck. So a lot of times it is bench press, or in some form, either barbell or dumbbell. But you take your big movers. Old school German volume training was 10 sets of 10, and you start with your 20 rep max, okay? 20 rep max. And there's a study that's shown that, we're going to get off the subject a little bit here, but you got this thing called mTOR. And mTOR is basically your body's metabolism on muscle building mode. You build muscle or you lose weight. Build or burn. And you build mass or you burn mass. That's what people that lose weight. And when you're on the mTOR pathway, it's called like protein synthesis. Like your body's like geared up, machinery. Your body's machinery is like built up to like soak in calories, build muscle. Soak in calories, build muscle. Sometimes it's a little bit of fat in there as well, if you're not careful with the calories. But that's mTOR. Right around that, turns out there's a study that was done right around 15-20 reps is actually great for signifying mTOR, right around there, because it hits the upper levels of that time under tension, and so it's kind of like new stimulus if you've been hitting these lower ones as well. So anyways, you start off with 20 rep max. Let's say it's bench press. Let's say you can bench press 135 20 times, which is really good if you can do that. So you start off with 135, but you stop at 10 reps, and then you take 1 minute rest. 1 minute rest. Boom. And then so it forces you to keep track. So you grab a stopwatch, you grab a watch at the gym or whatever you're doing. You do your 10 sets to 10, and then as soon as it being like at a minute when you jump into the next set. I don't like all right, it's 1 minute and then you get down there and you kind of like you get your form down, you get your breathing. So diddle daddling is like to call it. So I like, let's say it's 1 minute rest. Cut her at about 50 seconds, 50, 55, however long it takes you to get in place. That way everything is equal. You keep everything the same as much as you possibly. You treat this like a science experiment, okay? And then you just do your next set of 10. Next set of 10. Next set of 10. 1 minute rest, 1 minute rest, 1 minute rest. And you just boom, you keep through it. So here you did like 9 sets, right? The old way. You did your 9 sets. But you did your 6 sets here at a different rep range, different exercise, and then you took a break here, right? You went to the bathroom, you got some water in you, you stretched out, you talked to your buddy, you played on your phone, and then you get to your 3 sets of 10 here, and then your 3 sets of 10 there, and then your 3 sets of 15. So you kind of do the same amount of stimulation. That's why it's like that guy complained about, I did 10 sets of 10. I did this program that told me to do 10 sets of 10. And but meanwhile, he's still doing his 10 sets. So what you do is you got about 10 sets in a workout, right? Where you're going to get maximized. There. Keep doing these videos right during prime, what's that, dawn hours. Sorry about that. But you do, you knock that off, and you just pound it with what works. Bam, bam, bam. It's like in football, right? I'm a football fan. I don't know if you watch football, but it's like you find a play that like every time you run this play, you get like 5 yards. 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards, 5 yards. Boom, boom. This becomes your bread and butter. Like bam, bam, bam. That's the play that like works. You just like 5 hours, 5 yards. 5 hours, 5 yards, 5 yards. And you just keep doing that. What works? You just pound, 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 pound. You just pound that muscle, and then you keep track. So 10 sets of 10. So you got 20 reps in you. So your muscles start wearing down. It's like running a sprint, like a quarter-mile sprint at like a pretty solid speed. You go 10, 10, 10, 10, 10, 10. Okay. And let's say you wear out. Then what this does too is it forces your muscles to recover between sets. Bam, bam. Your muscles have to relearn processes to recover as much as they can. So 20 rep max is actually a lot to start with. That's pretty high. When you get good at it, it's a good place to start. But when you get good at it, where you are, let's say you fall off here, you're like, oh, the 135, and as soon as you barely got a rest, a set, let's say you got, it wasn't 9, but it was 8 here. You're like, 8. Then you want to drop that down minus about 20 pounds. So then it becomes 115 times 10. You want to keep that right there. That way you end the day right around 100 reps at that 10 sets. But you did it all without long breaks in between. You did it all without basically you just pound what works. Just like a nail and a hammer. You just pound what works. And then at the end, that's basically your day. At the end, if you want to do some cable crossovers, get that stretch going, get some dumbbell flies. If it's like chest day, you want to work some triceps in or biceps, usually some isolation stuff at the end, just to help it out. But that's the gist of it. That's a great place to start. Nowadays, so that's just chest. You actually got, let's say it's chest and back. You can go ahead and do this with your back muscles now too. Chest and back. That's how I like doing it when you work this in. There's other processes where you can do. We'll talk about Jackman volume training some other time because that's another deep subject. But let's say you did this 10 sets 10. There's a process out there where they did this back to back. So they did this superset style. So you did this, say, bench press and bent over like dumbbell rows or something, or barbell rows. So chest and back, chest and back, chest and back. And then you did 10 sets there, 10 sets there, rest about a minute. So now you get your rest minute in, but you do it in between. And so then you do, then you call that a day. Okay, however you want to do it, whatever split you got going on. So you can actually build like entire like year-long process like this. It's as long as you know what you're doing, as long as you're tracking. So the other big benefit, why you see so much anecdotal, that's the word I was looking for earlier, why you see so much anecdotal evidence with this is because you got somebody that's doing this, let's say traditional, the old way, and they're not tracking, they're not using a stopwatch, they're not tracking their rest times. So in between this, let's say they're resting minute or two, over here minute or two, but you know, they get going on something else in between your sets. So instead of a 1 minute rest between these, they're doing like 3 minute rests. So this kind of defeats the purpose going forward. Also German fall, and then you also force yourself to keep track of your weights, which a lot of times doing this, people end up grabbing the same old weights and the same old thing. So that's probably the big benefit of it. I don't know if it's like sciencey behind it. Like I'm thinking this would be just as effective if you had all the same parameters. Like you tracked your weight, you tracked your reps, you tracked your sets, you tracked like where it was that you dropped off in those. But this forces you, it kind of puts it in a nice, cute little package, so that way it works for you going forward. So cool. Yeah, we'll talk about this some other time, some other changes, some other variations of it that also that are also effective. Think of these as like weapons in your arsenal, weapons in your tools in your tool belts, weapons in your weapon rack, if you will. Obviously, this is the Warrior Show, so we gotta talk like that. But that's what it is. You're after those muscles, you're beating them down. So I gotta go get some food in me. It's been awesome with you, Warrior. You stay awesome. Catch you later.